if you look back at the beginning of the season when Giovinco was gone and Vasquez left, just sort of the trials and tribulations that went on in the early part of the season, how likely is it, do you think, at that point that you guys can get to where you are now?
Well, I mean, seasons are long, so for us, it's the goal is always to win the championship. So, and I think, as those players start to go, it's starting to understand, be clear about what direction we want to take and who those players are that we're trying to bring in and what direction the team is going to go and all those kinds of things. And so, and then just, as we said in the years that we've been successful, just stick to the process and try to get better every day. And for us, that process was longer this year because it also included bringing in players and recruiting players, and it had some ups and downs just because between doing that and obviously international duty and all the kinds of things that go on through a season, you kind of have to stick with it. You have to trust your process, and then you got to try to get everybody on the same page and moving forward at the right time, and that's what we've been able to do. But you always keep the mission and the objective in mind as you go through the process, and I think that's the one thing that we've been able to do this year that maybe last year we didn't quite as well as we came out of Champions League, obviously some guys down, and we lost maybe track of the process, and we're just trying to play for one win at a time. And this year it's always just been about getting better and approaching one game at a time with the idea of becoming a better version of us throughout this whole process. And the results have been a product of that, right, through the work day to day. And I think that's been a better indication of kind of how our season has been.
As this team plays one playoff game on the road after another, is it possible, can you look back at all those CONCACAF Champions League games, the trips to Mexico, Azteca Stadium, things like that, to see how that kind of forges a team so they're battle hardened for things like this?
Yeah, I think all those experiences are so important, and kind of, again, it's this process because what you have to understand going into different places like that is that the game doesn't always look exactly like you want, and you have to adapt and you'll have to adjust. And while, as I said after the game, as we all want to be a little bit ideological and say we have more possession and we create more chances and we are better at this and that and the other, but at the end of the day, again, in knockout competition, sometimes you have to adapt in a game and you have to be content not having the ball, and you've got to be able to protect yourself, and you got to be able to be effective in the transition or find your ways to win games, set pieces, all kinds of different things. There's a lot of different phases and ways to win games. And so, I think through all these experiences with this group and the groups that we've had, all these experiences have lended different ways that we've had to go about getting results, and the key, it's going to be different again because every game is a little bit different. It'll be again different as we go into there. But I think in our hope and our experiences have taught us that we can find different ways to win games as we need to. Sometimes they'll look like we want them to, and sometimes they won't. So, and we got to be okay with that and ready to answer whatever is needed of us on the day.
Greg, speaking of different teams being different challenges, that kind of thing, you've gone with the same starting 11 for all three playoff games. Even if everybody's healthy on Sunday, is it difficult to switch that up to even think about switching that up?
It's always a challenge, just with guys in general. Even whether you leave guys out of the team or you put guys into the team, everybody wants to play. It's the championship game, and so it doesn't matter once we pick an 11. We're going to pick the 11 that we feel gives us the best chance to start the game off and get it moving in the right direction. And that doesn't mean that team is going to go win the game. It means that they will get us started and get us going. The game is 90 minutes long, as we've seen through all of these games. Our substitutes have come on and had a huge impact in this whole off season. And so, whatever the role is for each guy they just have to embrace it and go with it. But it doesn't, just because guys are in doesn't guarantee them starts, and vice versa. We just got to work and keep setting the game plan for this one and gives ourselves this best chance to go there and get a win.
I don't remember 2017, but do you remember in the playoffs then if you had to switch things up a lot?
We were pretty consistent until the final, and then in the final, to be fair, Eric Zavaleta, who had started every playoff game, came off the field so that we switched and rotated into a diamond, and I think it was Oso who then went onto the field, and so we did a formation shift, and obviously a guy who had played a pivotal role in getting us there, was then not a part of the team and didn't actually play on the day. So the decisions are about the game. I think everybody they understand that, and everybody is trying to win this game. That's the objective. The rest of it is, is discussion. But we're just all trying to find the best solution to go out there and win the game in Seattle.
How close could you have played Omar in Atlanta?
Yeah, we could have. He was, I think from a health standpoint, he was in a good spot. From a training standpoint, he just hadn't had many full training sessions under his belt. And that's for 2.5, 3 weeks that he was out. He just didn't have many high intensity sessions. And so, but physically, I think he was okay. And I considered it at various times in the game based on the fact that we were doing a fair amount of defending, what that would look like. But I just felt like we needed more legs in the front half of the field to try to give ourselves the best chance to win. I didn't really want to go to overtime, and I definitely didn't want to go to penalty. So for me, it was continue to find solutions in the attacking half of the field to try to get us our chance.
And the fact that Simons played so well, did that make that decision easier?
Yeah, I think the defensive group has held strong through the course of this and has dealt with a lot of situations. I think Laurent's been great, and I think Chris has been great. I think the back line has been solid. Early on in the game, we just got a little stretched out, and we didn't manage the depth that well, and that's where those two primary, the goal and the second chance, the penalty came from. But once we got that kind of established, I still thought at times we were a little too stretched out from front to back. But eventually we kind of settled in, and our block became a little tighter, and we stopped giving away what I thought were dangerous chances. We protected our goal well at that point. It really just became about how we were going to manufacture the opportunity that we needed to win the game. And to be fair to Nick, it was a good transition, but it kind of died. And then he did a great job of spinning away from it and keeping it alive, and obviously hit an incredible shot to win it. So it was, it was good timing because there wasn't a lot of clear ways that we were going to come up with, that goal that was going to make the difference.
And Josie, the portion of training that we were able to see, he was working out with the trainer again.
Yep.
Is he close to rejoining the main group?
Yeah, we hope within the next few days, right? We've got now, whatever it is, 7 more days to 8 more days to get him going. The more fitness and high-speed running and those types of things that we can get him, then the better he'll more prepared he'll be. We can push back striking and all those kinds of things for a few more days. So really it's just about his physical fitness and his health and his ability to to sprint, and to, as a forward, you've got to be able to sprint, to change speeds, to do the things that you need to make that game-changing moment that that we would want from Josie. So and the better fitness we can give him, the more minutes that he'll be capable of playing. So those are the things we're focusing on right now. But we hope by middle of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, he will be back fully into what we're trying to
Greg,
set up for.
What his second MRI show?
I don't even know exactly. I haven't asked. It was. Again, the MRI is one indicator. The second is just how he's feeling when he's going through the functional movement, the sprinting, and all that kind of stuff. And it was just, when you put all of that together, he just wasn't quite there yet. And we felt like we might win the game, so we waited for this one. I'd like to say that was true, but that's not necessarily true.
So has this injury been, looking back, has this injury been a lot more problematic than you guys originally thought it would be?
No, not really. I mean, it's always going to be a stretch, and the issue sometimes with these things is when you get the additional edema, which is the blood in the area that happens right after the injury. That edema, once it goes away, you could see something smaller, you could see something significant, and so the edema was relatively significant, and so when it went away, it wasn't a totally insignificant quad strain, right? So it was always going to be a push, but everybody's body reacts different. Every player is different in terms of their response and how quickly, and so that's why I say the MRI is only one indicating factor. Really, it is how the player is progressing and what they're physically capable of doing without feeling like they're overly stressing and just, because we also need reliability. We can't put a guy out on the field and then have to sub him. Every one of these is every move so far in this offseason in this postseason has been so important to the result of the game, and so that's the other side of it. But we've been able to win as much time as we possibly could. We're in the final now, and I feel like he'll be ready to go.
You have a connection with Seattle, of course. You
Yeah.
were a television personality.
Broadcaster and a few championships later.
What was that experience like? That was right after you retired? as
Yeah,
a player?
yeah. It was outstanding from the perspective of working with the people in Seattle. They were wonderful. They were great hosts. Allowing me. I was living in Phoenix at the time and flying back and forth, and they were wonderful about working with my schedule, and the people there were fantastic. So I enjoyed every minute of it. I just wasn't a great broadcaster. I was the analyst guy who was trying to fill in the blanks, and it was good for me though because I stayed touched at the league. I was able to analyze games and look at them from almost like a coaching perspective from up in the booth and share some thoughts. And then Arlo White came in, and I'm like, this guy doesn't need an analyst. He should just do it himself. And next year he was doing it by himself. So that was that. But it was a lot of fun.
Was that local Seattle TV that you did that?
Yeah, yeah. And I did it with Kevin Calabro, who was a famous NBA and hockey, and he had a lot of his terms were the edge and different things that you hear in other sports. So I was trying to help him understand soccer as he was trying to help me understand broadcasting. So it was fun.
Did you ever correct him on air?
Just the 1 year. Yeah, just 1 year. What was that?
Did you ever correct him on air?
No, I tried not to. I tried to let him go, and then we would talk about it later. But he was excellent, really good to work with, really professional. He helped me a lot just to kind of understand what that was all about, preparation.
Forgive me if we ask about the scarf, but it
Sure.
has sort of become
A routine.
a routine now. Was it just the scarf that you had in your cupboard, or?
Yeah, it was. It's actually it was a gift from a Greek family, and I'm gonna give you guys the name of the company. I have to think of it. But I run into people at Starbucks every now and then, and I go there so often that people become friends. And like, hey, we have a mill that's right here in kind of the Vaughan area, and we make scarves and so they invited me down. This was in 2017, and they said, some ties, scarves, things like that. And so I really liked this one. And so he's like, it looks like it'll fit with that suit that you have. And this was again in 2017. So I took it, and a lot of people actually compliment on it. So I wore it in the first few games because it was cold. And then in the stadium, it wasn't so cold. But then I was asking the guy, like, do I still wear it? And I go, because it doesn't really make sense indoors to wear a scarf, but we had to go with it, and we got through another game. So it's more of a routine than a superstition. I don't know if I believe in luck and superstition. So, but as athletes and coach, sometimes we believe in routines. So putting the scarf on is a routine.
Well, you took
We'll
it
go
off
with that.
during the game. Huh?
I did. It was hot, and yeah, I just needed to breathe a little bit. So I took it off.
So is it coming back on Monday?
It'll be back. I hear it's going to be a little cooler than it was inside in Atlanta.
Didn't you have like a tie, shirt, jacket combination in 2017
Yeah.
or 2016 that was also
Yeah,
like,
be
would
pretty-
that have been a routine as well?
Yes, consistency.
And didn't you
Consistency.
also have some coins that your kids did? Was that the routine?
I did.
too, wasn't
No,
it?
yeah, that was, there was one, yes, I had three of them that I carry in my pocket. Those are in my bag still, they're not actually in my pocket.
You're a walking superstition though.
Greg, how did the team from this season compare sort of with the team you guys had in 16, 17? What do you see as similarities and what's different, if anything at all?
There's differences in the personnel, obviously, but even what our personnel bring. Obviously now versus 16 and 17, we have wingers. We haven't played three in the back. We've used it just sparingly in terms of situational stuff in this year, but I think what this team is a little bit similar to 2016, which was. We went into 2016 and we decided that how we defend is going to be a really important factor in our ability to push through the playoffs. We had grinded a little bit through 2016. We were still kind of coming up with that final identity, still all those little things. And we went into playoffs with this idea that given who we were going to play, we were going to be a little bit of disruptors. We were going to play the disruptors for the opposition's possession. And by disrupting them, we would then have the ball and create opportunities and things like that, And so I think that has been part of our strategy through the course of this. Obviously in DC, we knew we were going to have the ball. When we went to the small field in New York City, we felt like, let's be disruptors. They're a team that, they want to rotate players. They want to have the ball. Let's make it difficult for them. In the small field, let's just create a little bit of chaos there. And from the chaos, we transition and play forward. Then in Atlanta, there was always a question of how much ball could we get off of them and how much of the ball would they have, because both of us wanted to have the ball, but you can't, that's not always the case. And so as the game went on, again, we had to adapt, which I think is an important facet of this group, as well as 2016 group. We had to adapt a little bit through the course of the playoffs. In 2017, I think we were pretty dominant in what we knew what we were going to do and how we were going to go about it. And the one shift I would say was against the Red Bulls. We know they didn't want to have the ball and that they wanted to press, so we gave them the ball a little bit more, knowing that wasn't their comfort zone. So that was the one game that I think we sort of played outside of what our vision normally would be, which is wanting to have a lot of the ball. So I just think, again, our ability to adapt and ability to find different ways to win games has played a big role in this postseason.
So as you scheme for Seattle, what kind of team are they to plan against?
There's some similarities, because I think they're a team that, they'd like to have the ball if at all possible, but they're comfortable not having the ball too. Again, you've seen them go to LAFC and not have the ball and do a great job of protecting their goal, minimizing chances, being very efficient on the attacking side of, winning, getting a counterattack and or two or three and putting away the chances that they've gotten. And so, but also at home, they've had stretches, and also against RSL, they had less of the ball against RSL, and really kind of snuffed out a lot of their attacks, and were able to be efficient on the other side. But through the season, I think they're a team that would prefer to have the ball more times than not, especially at home. But they've shown the ability to lock it down defensively and make it difficult on the opposition if they don't have the ball. And so, again, it's going to be one of those games of you see how the game sort of settles in. We would like to have the ball. I think that's part of our style, but we don't have to have the ball. We'll see how the game plays.
And Rui Diaz, he looks like he's a handful.
Yeah, I like him. He's a good player. He's again just especially his efficiency lately has been really good. But he's kind of one of those forwards. He's kind of an assassin. Like, he just finds little pockets, spaces. He'll continue to work for them. He reminds me a bit of Joseph Martinez with in some ways, just that he's a striker. He is, he is playing for his moments, and he's very clever about manufacturing those moments and finding them. And when he gets them, he's very efficient about how he goes about it. And obviously, he has a good supporting cast in helping him find those, especially with Lodero, who drifts all around the field, and you're trying to figure out how to take care of him and not allow him to be the provider. So they have, it's something that we have to take care of again.
How do you think that you've grown as a coach since 2016?
I think through last year, I think you learn a lot of lessons through some of the challenges that you go through. I think continuing to understand our group of players and what best suits our group of players, but also working to adapt and being more pragmatic at times and less ideological at times, but also understanding why and when pragmatism is more important. I'd like to say that I have this real ideology and how I want the game to look and play, but I also am willing and capable, and have tried to help the team become capable of shifting in the moment if we need to, and finding a resolution if that's what's needed. And so I think that's through experience, through growth, through again working with our players. Every group of players is different, and I've got a good feel now in the second half of the season, I think, of how each player sort of bring and what they bring to the table for this team and how they can help the team. And so that's I think, again, every season is kind of a new mission. You take lessons from the ones and you try to stick with the things that have helped get you there, which is kind of what define your style of play. But at the end of the day, you still have to, I think, you're working with people, and we've got to be able to adapt and adjust along the way based on where the team is at in a given moment.
Does the MLS Cup third time around feel different than 1 and
It does partly because it's not at home.
Right.
So, I was talking to some of the guys saying, "Hey, downtown, do you feel like a buzz?" And they said, "Not quite yet." But part of that is because I think so much of our work has been done on the road that it doesn't bring the same energy into the city as it does when the games are in the city. And so, hopefully through the course of this week, that guys will start to feel that. But then we go to Seattle. We know once you get in market, which is part of the reason we went a day early into Atlanta, because when you're in market, you start to feel the level of the game. And when you're out of market, sometimes it's not quite the same. And so, but hopefully during the course of this week, we'll feel some energy from the city and the support and all the things that we know are there as we get ready to go.
Are you leaving Thursday?
Yeah.
Is that part of the reason you wanted to have a bit of the feel, but not too much hoopla?
Yeah, I mean, our choice was Wednesday or Thursday, and our players are very comfortable in our setting and everything that we have here. Obviously, privacy as you prepare for things is a good thing. The second is when you get down there, there's a lot of media, there's a lot of different things that come along with it, and we wanted to, once we get down there, we'd like to do it and get it out of the way and then focus on the game and not have it just prolonged over this, multiple days. So.
How does 2016, in particular, the way that it sort of played out, sit with you these days? And is it just a coincidence that we're getting that third match?
I don't think anything's a coincidence. I mean, I think it's incredible for two teams now in the league with 20 plus teams to find their way back through both conferences 3 times out of 4 years. Like, I think that is. There's really something special to that. It's only happened 5 times that a team has gotten to 3 out of 4 years that a club has gotten to the finals. I think it's the LA Galaxy twice. Once I was on that as a player, and then another time later, and then Seattle, Toronto, New England, and DC. Right? DC did it when there was 10 teams in the league, but now there's more than double that. So that's a lot. That's a big feat, and for 2 teams to be able to do that is really special. Do I feel? I don't know if I feel a lot about 2016, other than it would be nice to try to go get the second championship. Right? They got one and took it from us on our field. Fair enough. So our mission is to try to go get one back. I mean, it's not a big talking point because there's some different players in the locker room, but I think at this point you're trying to win the championship, and that's the emphasis and the focus.